Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Now it is time to introduce our main speaker for tonight, Wayne.
Wayne Butler, alcoholic. That's really odd. Little Lord, perfect. Thank you. That's like too weird for me. I've got enough weirdness for everything. I want to thank John for inviting me to come share with you good people tonight. I want to thank John Paul. Where'd he go? You know, you could actually start a sponsee recruiting business with that. I can see it now, aamatch.com. They say the odds of finding a woman or a man here are good, but the goods are odd, so what are you going to do? Speaking about myself, but of course. I love AA, and I want to thank my fiancée, Tina. She drove down here 5 hours to come with me tonight. That's pretty cool, isn't it? I wouldn't have drove 5 minutes, but she drove 5 hours. I really appreciate your story, John Paul. I love this deal. Anybody else? I mean, I just love this thing. It's the best deal in town. I look around this room, and the book Alcoholics Anonymous suggests that we are people who normally would not mix. Then I look at Keith. Yeah, that's true. And I think that the idea that I'm here, that people in this room call me a friend, some people I'm an acquaintance, some people I'm a criminal, and to some unfortunate people I'm a cop. And I think back, if you're new, first of all I want to welcome you to Alcoholics Anonymous. And I'm going to ask you not to judge AA according to my presentation. If there's something about me you don't like, tough. I wouldn't drink about it though. There's nothing so important about me that you should pick up a drink. If you don't like the way I talk, the way I look, the way I'm dressed, or the way I do AA, that's okay. But I hope you don't deny yourself the opportunity of believing in AA because of that potential judgment. My sobriety date is November 8th, 1977. I haven't had any drinks, any pills, powders, potions, or lotions. I've been told I needed them, I just didn't take them. And that's probably the truth. I've been psychiatrically institutionalized 17 times. I'm not complaining. That'll put a definite spin on your personalities. I was court committed by my own flesh and blood twice, and I was a self-sign-in 15 times. I liked it there. I'm going to tell you why, in case you have a little slippy poo. Given the way I drank, the way I acted, the way I looked, and the way I smelled, I could not get a date to save my life out there. But you put me in a co-ed psych ward. Some women find that look intriguing. And if I couldn't talk them into dating me, I'd just wait till their Thorazine kicked in. I've had a plan. I'd have a plan. I'd have one picked out of the litter, and I had a plan. And I swear before God, I would wait till she took her Thorazine, because I'm in the line. I'm in the line too, by the way. And I have a plan. Unfortunately, I didn't exercise that plan until after I took mine. And so just when I got up enough steam to go catch her, the Thorazine caught up. I love to drink. I want you newcomers to know if I could pull it off and drink like a social drinker tonight, I'd be drinking. I love Budweiser. I like everything about it. I'm a beer drinker. I was told you couldn't be an alcoholic if all you drank was beer. What are you going to do? That kept me out there. That thought kept me out there for another 5 years. After I came to AA and found out all I drank was beer, therefore I'm not alcoholic, that thought kept me out there 5 more years going to meetings and drinking. I did try fine wine. I'm sure some of you did too. Like Ripple. Doesn't that make you sweat? Boone's Farm Strawberry Hill. You know why I like Boone's Farm Strawberry Hill? Because when I puke, it looks like I'm bleeding internally. You ask me what's wrong, I tell you I'm dying from stomach something. And you feel sorry for Wayne and buy him a drink. I also like a little Mad Dog Deucey Deucey. Since I was in the Navy, I also liked Akadama port wine. We called it Akadoodle-doo. That stuff will make you grow hair. Now when you mix Budweiser, Ripple, Boone's Farm, Akadoodle-doo, and Mad Dog Deucey Deucey, it'll give you a condition you might not have heard about here at Rodeo. It's called alcoholic terminal diarrhea. I swear before God, I had diarrhea for 6 years. You will stay skinny. When you've had diarrhea for 6 years, you better have good decision-making skills. Huh, John Paul? You're my new hero there, Tidy Whitey. I never got that bad. And you got to have split-second timing, of which I had neither. And I also have false teeth because ignore your teeth. They will go away. But when you're living in a dumpster, hygiene ain't at the top of your list. So I was a projectile puker because when welfare gives you teeth, they don't care if they fit. That's why they give you 5 pounds of cheese. So I'm a projectile puker. And I remember my ex-wife allowed me back in the house. And I was so sick. And she was beating the hell out of me. Found out I deserved it when I did inventory. But I always knew if I could get to the bathroom, she'd get off my back and quit pounding my head into the floor. Because she's not going in the bathroom with me under no circumstances. Because bad things happen when I get in there. And I remember I come home one night and I had a ponytail, I had long hair, I was a yippie. Had long hair down to my butt. And she would get a hold of my ponytail and just beat my head into the floor. Because those Al-Anon people, they know that look in your eye when you can't defend yourself. See, I think that's why they're standing at the curtain. It ain't wondering where I'm at, it's hoping I'm coming home with that look. And she's whipping my head into the floor and I'm crawling for the bathroom and I finally made it. And as soon as my head crossed the threshold, she went to bed. I get in there and I hug the ivory altar. I swear to God, everything just cut loose at the same time. And all of a sudden I noticed my upper denture had blown out into the stool. Now, how many of you realize when good things happen, it just flies by but when it's bad, it goes like this. You ever have an accident where you see it coming and you can't do nothing about it, including enjoy it? I'm watching my denture circle the drain. And I know when it gets down to the bottom, it's gone for good. And I think to myself, what the hell? I went in after them. Caught them right before they got down the shooter, and I thought to myself, what the hell? I rinsed them off and put them right back in. I sure miss drinking. When you come, that's pitiful and incomprehensible demoralization if you haven't figured that out. And when I came to Alcoholics Anonymous November 3rd, 1972, I came here because the night before I was sleeping in a dumpster behind Larry's Oasis. I weighed 146 pounds. I didn't look like I look tonight. I weigh 258 pounds right now, and I'm really happy about that. 146 pounds for me is too light to fight and too thin to win. And I don't like anybody, and I can smell me. And I was in that dumpster behind Larry's Oasis, and I remember it was about, I don't know, it was after midnight, and I heard a knock on my dumpster lid. And I was home. Could never get a date to come home with me. I don't know why. I could get her to the front door, but she wouldn't get in. Some of you women have a lot of expectations. And there's my theme song. Let me tell you something. If you ever drove a squad car 130 miles an hour with lights flashing, siren blaring, going through intersections blind, if cocaine's like that, I'd have got addicted. You didn't get that? That's later. I'm not going to tell you yet. Well, I became a cop sober. Maybe that'll help you. I don't want to get ahead of myself. So I'm in that dumpster, and I heard a knock on the lid, and I was home, and I was curious who was out there. I knew it wasn't a dumpster pickup man. When you're sleeping in a dumpster, you better know when they're coming. By the way, they don't care if you have self-esteem or not. They just keep dumping. And opened up the lid, and there's my dad staring down at me. I hated that man. I loathed him. I wanted him dead. And he wanted me dead. See, the last time I was with my mom, my father put a pistol in my face and said if I didn't stay away from my mom, he'd put me out of my misery, and my father meant that. And I never went back to my mom again. I stayed away. And now here's my dad. I'm sure he's going to pop a cap in my ass. I'm sure he is. I just know he is. I know that's why he's there, except he doesn't have that insane look in his eyes. He had gone and joined this cult. AA. I didn't know it yet. I found out later he was doing what I now know to be a 12-step call. I didn't know. I just knew he didn't have that hateful look that he had projected to me years before. And he says to me, Wayne, do you want to come home with me? And I looked around my little room. Believe it or not, I was doing fine. And that's what I said. No thanks, Dad, I'm doing fine. You know, bottom's really interesting. To some people, that looks devastating to be living in a dumpster. But it really wasn't. It was kind of cozy. I could plead with you how bad my life was, but I want you to know something. I didn't mind it. You see, I can create a new bottom and make peace with it as I go. I have that interesting ability to accept what to most human beings is unacceptable. But you put a Budweiser in my hand, and almost anything is acceptable to me. Most importantly of which is myself. I have always been at odds, not with you as much as I am with me. And because I'm at odds with me, I'm automatically at odds with you. Because I'm always comparing myself to other people, and I don't measure up. I could not explain to you why I drank alcohol obsessively the way I did. Some days I could drink too and control it, but I wasn't having any fun. And then there's days I couldn't control it at all. And I'd end up wondering how in the hell I ended up in jail again. I would wonder why I'm divorced again. I would wonder why my kids were afraid of me again. And then I would try to control it again. And I would have those periods where I could go 2 or 3 months without getting drunk. Therefore, not alcoholic. But eventually, I would end up not only just getting drunk, but trying to figure out how to manage that which I couldn't see until I met you people. That elusive, illusionary, magical effect produced by alcohol that only happens in the mind of an alcoholic. It's something that if I could have captured and put in pill form, I'd have sold it for sure. But it's something that even the people out there, the experts, can't get a handle on because it's invisible. Because I suffer from a condition I didn't know about until I met you people. I've been through every kind of, and by the way, I'm not putting nothing down. I'm just telling my story. I've been through every kind of therapy you can be on. I'm not going to get into outside issues. I'm going to honor the singleness of purpose. But I was on psychiatric medication from the time I was 12. And they didn't stop just because I came to AA. I was taking 9 different kinds of medication. I'll just leave it at that. I was so spun out, I was stopped dead. But when I drink Budweiser, I want you to know what Budweiser does for me. Budweiser takes a person who is absolutely incapable of accepting himself the way he is, and it somehow relaxes my very being. It makes me feel gargantuan. I get so good looking I can't stand it. I get smart too. I get so smart I do really stupid stuff. Alcohol is so magical inside me that there ain't a power on earth that can stop me from taking a drink if I want one. That's why I know it's useless to try to talk somebody in AA into trying to be sober. Can't make somebody want that which they don't believe in. And here it is for me, a day at a time, a little over 31 years. And I hope I never forget that night in the dumpster, but more importantly, I hope I don't forget that first meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous I went to. I want to tell you about that. See, after my dad left, I jumped out of that dumpster. And I started that walk that I believe every man and woman in this room has made that walk. Yours might not have started from a dumpster. It might have started from that Cadillac you parked on the front porch. It could have started from being face down in your own vomit in a 3-inch carpet. Bottom is relative to the individual, and it's inside where it counts. My bottom started when I jumped out of that dumpster and I began that walk of walks. A little after 2, I passed a place called Harvey's Restaurant. I want to tell you about that because the God of AA works in mysterious ways around here. Mostly unexpected, unanticipatory. I don't have the ability to anticipate when God's going to work in my life or in yours. I went past this restaurant. Can you imagine? 146 pounds. My mouth was rotted. I had a stench that even I couldn't stand anymore. And I walked past there and I looked inside. It was an all-night mom and pop coffee shop. There's not too many of them left. And I looked inside there and I noticed this little 800-year-old woman. I mean, she was flipping old. Very slowly wiping down the coffee bar. I sized her up and knew I could work her because I'm a bum. I'm a bum's bum. I can work my mom. Of course, that's not a tough task, is it? Working my mom. Stealing from my dad. Blaming my brother so he'd take the rap. I walked in there and I sat down at that coffee bar and she was already on her way to greet me. And this little old lady had a smile as wide as this room on her face, and I did not understand that smile. I wasn't even into my routine yet. Remember how the big book says we're all actors here? All we're missing here is agents. Let me tell you, I mean, everybody in this room. She comes walking over to me, she got a smile in her hand and a glass of water, and she says, "What can I do for you, sweetie?" And I hadn't even started my routine, but I clicked in quick. I told her about the alcoholic home. I told her things I'm not going to tell you tonight, but I have told my sponsor. But I'll tell you in a general way. I started telling her about the alcoholic home I grew up in. I told her about the violence. I told her about getting diagnosed mentally retarded and put in a retarded group home in 8th grade. I told her about riding a short bus. I told her about being sexually raped by 3 men. Tears start rolling down her face. I told her about going to Vietnam twice. More tears come rolling down her face. I had no hesitation to tell this woman things that my sponsor couldn't get me to tell him in the 5th step, just because I wanted a burger. Isn't that something? These tears are rolling down her face, so I think I got her. I move in for the sandwich. And this story is so compelling, even I'm starting to cry. Found out later why she was actually crying. She wasn't crying because of my story. Apparently she'd heard it before. This woman was in a program called Al-Anon. Personally, I think Al-Anon should have to wear a badge warning us at work. You see, the reason she was crying is because her husband, Harvey, was having a hard time staying sober. And because she was a member of Al-Anon, she knew Harvey's only hope was to work with another sick and suffering alcoholic, and she thought that I was the one that God sent for Harvey. So she took me hostage. I mean, she let me stay in the car until Harvey got back. I'd been there a few days. I wasn't going anywhere. I'd abandoned my home. Ladies and gentlemen, I had no idea I was coming to AA. If you'd have told me I was going to a psych ward, I'd have said, okay, I'm in. I could not believe or conceive of the idea I was alcoholic, and I thought for a different reason. I thought because all I drank was beer and a little Mad Dog Doocy Doocy and a little Ripple. But I knew that couldn't make you alcoholic. I knew I was psychiatric. I couldn't understand. If you'd have said I was going to AA, I would have never went. You see, what I didn't know was deep down inside me, alcohol done something for me nothing on God's earth could do for me. The way it did, so silently and so swiftly, altering my perception of myself. And it's unconscious. I didn't know what was happening until it wasn't happening anymore, and then I wanted it back, and I didn't know what it was I wanted back. That will lead you to pure insanity. This woman was hip to that. I wasn't drunk. She let me sleep in the car in the parking lot. Harvey came back. Harvey was this little old guy. Now, I didn't have low self-esteem. I had self-hatred. There's a difference. Self-esteem you can work with. Self-hatred you can't. Unless you work with someone else who understands self-hatred. Harvey was a guy about this big, and I swear to God, he was so ugly, he made me feel good about myself. I looked at him and I thought, oh my God, you are ugly. I mean, an ugly man. Had this nose, had a straight, narrow nasal, and 2 golf balls right there. I panned the room to make sure nobody was here like that. I swear to God, he had what's called whiskey nose in Illinois. It happens in the wintertime when all you drink is whiskey and you sleep outside a lot. He had red and blue and black veins running through his face. I now know it's called spider angiomas, and that happens in late stage fatal alcoholism. And Harvey had them. See, Harvey couldn't stop drinking. When Harvey's heart was beat, his nose would go like this. Man, I ain't got no teeth, but look at that nose. Harvey shakes my hand. I want to remind you, I don't know I'm headed to AA because I'd have stopped it if I did. I think that's why God remains anonymous, because he knows it would corrupt our opportunity. How many of us knew? Even if you went to treatment, you still don't know. He shook my hand, and he did me the bum's handshake and passed me a coin. It wasn't worth nothing, it was brass. One side it had 2 A's. On the other side it had this stupid prayer, God grant me something. So I scanned it, realized it didn't say nothing about money, food, shelter, or Pell-Mell tailor-made cigarettes. So I wasn't real interested in it. Harvey could tell I wasn't interested. And here's what Harvey said to me. You take that coin tomorrow down to 410 16th Street. Tell him Harvey sent you. My friends are there. He didn't say AA. He said my friends are there. He says when you get there, it's in the basement. You'll see a light bulb hanging on the cord. If it's on, go in. They'll be expecting you. And I went. Not because I wanted help with alcohol problem, but because I wanted something to eat. I thought maybe they'd give me a couple of bucks and maybe a cigarette or 2. That's why I went. Got there about noontime, looked in the basement. There was the light bulb. Harvey said if it was on, go in. But it wasn't on, it was flickering. I don't know from shorts in the cord. He didn't give me that contingency. And the light wouldn't stop. And I'm out there like, because I'm neurotic. I'm watching that light and I'm waiting for it to stop. It doesn't stop. I go nuts. I leave. I go to Larry's Oasis and mooch me a few drinks. Because that's what I do. I got oiled up, sat down at a table. I'm talking to a couple other guys in the bar. I told them my story. I had no idea they were both had been to AA and they were slippers too. I didn't know. What do I know? I ain't been to AA yet. But they told me I should go back there and make them give me what I got coming now because I'm complaining. You know how we treat complainers. So I mustered up just enough booze to get my courage up, and I went back there. Got there about 8 o'clock. Isn't that interesting, the time frames? Now I'm got a full load on. I'm oiled up. I don't care if the light's on or gone. I'm going in. So I went charging through that basement doorway, failing to notice it's 5'10"-ish. I'm 6'3"-ish. I ran right into the door header. It hit me across the eyebrow, knocked me off of my feet, and I slid into my first meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. About 6 feet inside the door was this round table with 6 or 7 old fools that must have been checking their insurance because they're about to die. And I slid between 2 of them. And this old buzzer gets up out of his chair, he looks down at me and goes just like this. That's how they humored themselves in Illinois. And then he said, slide right in here, you big dummy. We got a wrench to fit every nut that comes in the door. He says, my name's Barney. I'm an alcoholic. And I thought, poor old man, you. He says, I'm going to be your sponsor. I've known this guy 10 seconds. And he gave me hope immediately. Here's why. I know what his sponsor is. I played softball for Larry's Oasis. He sponsored our softball team. He bought our uniforms, paid our league fees, and brought the beer. I'm looking at the guy and I'm thinking he ain't got much to offer, but okay. That was a mistaken judgment. You know, for the next 5 years, I went to meetings every day and drank. I could not drink, could not drink, couldn't do it, could not drink. Went every day. We traveled to meetings. For 5 years, I did that dance of death. Nobody made fun of me. They said, keep coming back. You see, they understood something it took me a while to understand. They understood that I was spiritually sick. They understood that. They understood that my mind has been affected by a spiritual malady, and they understood that. So they said, keep coming back. They made it judge me, but they did it silently so I couldn't see it. Because, you know, it's awful hard not to judge, isn't it? Just like some of you are judging me right now. I already saw you. That's right, I got you when I came up here, so we're even. Barney was my sponsor for 29 years, 5 months, and 4 days. He died April 17th, 2002. There's not a day goes by I don't mention William Barney Barnett's name. There's not a day goes by I don't pray to him. There's not a day goes by I don't talk about him. That guy was the guy God used to reach me. There ain't another living soul on earth at that time in that place could have reached me. Now, I want to tell you what he did for me. On November 8, 1977, I took what appears to be my last drink. 3 weeks sober, I still smell. You guys are sitting with me at meetings, but you're taking shifts. Like every 10 minutes, I'd have a new person sitting next to me. I have rotted teeth in my mouth that have broke off. I mean, I'm infected. I'm sick. That's why I weigh 146 pounds. I'm terribly sick. And they took me to a dentist so they could dig out the broken off teeth. I was really sick. You hear me? I had an upper denture from welfare. But you know what? I ain't blaming them. I'm not playing the victim, but they didn't care about this. They only did what they had to do. And this part of my mouth was terribly infected, and I was really, really sick. I had a lot of poison in my system. You guys took me to your dentist. I'm 3 weeks sober. I still weigh 146, 145 pounds. I'm judging myself. I feel bad. I want to drink really bad. It's been 3 weeks. It's Thanksgiving, 1977. My sponsor says to me, dummy. I said, yes, sir. He says, I would like to take you to a convention of Alcoholics Anonymous in Rock Island. I said, what's that? He says, well, there will be about 1,200 sober alcoholics with some speakers from California. I'd like to treat you to that. And then he could have said to me, you stink, you smell, do something. He could have judged me, but he didn't. Here's what he did. He said, dummy. I said, yes, sir. Would you let me buy you a new set of clothes? I said, well, sure. He says, you know, AA is a program of attraction, and you are quite the distraction. I thought he was hurting my feelings, but I couldn't think that quick. And he said, let me buy you a new set of clothes. I said, okay. So I'm thinking JCPenney. He's thinking Salvation Army. Now, this is November 1977. Disco is out at Studio 54. It is in because they donated all those clothes to the Salvation Army. So he takes me into the Salvation Army, and they got rows and rows and rows of lime green double knit polyester leisure suits. I didn't know what a leisure suit was. I was in a dumpster. We bought one. The lining was bright yellow. Had dark green tennis rackets. Promotional leisure suit. And then he took me over to the shirt department where we found me a brushed polyester shirt. Had collars down there. Remember those disco shirts? Some of them you wear them on Halloween. Collars came down to here. 2 buttons, one here, one here. From the manufacturer. Had animals all the way around it. I have to tell you the truth, I liked it. Barney made me wear a tie with it. And when we went to the shoe department, where the only 13.5-inch gunboats they had in supply was a pair of black and brown box-toe Oxford platform disco shoes. I went into the Salvation Army 6'3.5" and came out 6'8". And I was happening. You know, newcomer, don't quit on yourself. Here's why. We never know when that instant's going to happen. Nobody in this room knows either. That would make us God. We got out of there for $1.85. And you see, I'm a guy who's afraid of being laughed at. I'm sensitive. I only have one feeling, but I make sure everybody gets a shot at it. Barney dresses me up, takes me to the front door of that convention, and makes me a greeter. In that lime green double knit polyester suit. The speakers was a guy by the name of Norm Elpy. Chuck Chamberlain. Had Elsa with him. Dottie Shore from Rackford. Tom Brady Jr. from Charlotte, North Carolina. Those 4 have passed on to the big meeting. And a guy by the name of Clancy I. And a guy by the name of Johnny H. And I want you to know that all 6 of those people play a significant, important role in my current sobriety. Because all 6 of them laughed at me. Chuck looked at my suit and he opened it up and went, "Tee-tee-tee." I'd have shot him dead if I'd have had my pistol. Dottie Shore kissed me on the head and I could feel her lips moving in laughter. Johnny H. put me up against the wall and patted me down. He said, "I heard you like to play with weapons." And I said, "Watch what weapon you're playing with, pal." Clancy made fun of me there and from the podium. I hated him. You know how he is. God love him. And Norm Elpy, when he passed by and laughed, and then Tom Brady, and I couldn't take it. I thought they were laughing at me. And I got honest tears rolling down my face. I don't cry. I inflict pain on other people. That's the only thing I do well, is inflict pain on other people. I turned to my sponsor, who stood there with me the whole time. See, he wanted me to meet those speakers in AA. Not necessarily speakers, forgive me. Those members of AA who gave up their Thanksgiving weekend to come carry the message of Alcoholics Anonymous for fun and for free. He wanted me to meet them people. He knew I was too sick for him. Isn't that something? How astute is that? How humble is that? He knew he didn't have all the answers. And I'm crying. I turned to Barney and I said, "God damn it, Barney, are they laughing at me?" He looked at me and goes just like this. "Well, yeah." I said, "Yeah, they are. You're a sight to behold." He says, "You know what, dummy?" I said, "What?" He said, "If you ever learn to laugh at yourself, you'll never be left unamused." I almost needed therapy over that. And then I heard the speakers speak, and I want you to know something. I had no idea that I suffer from a soul sickness. I thought it was about alcohol. Had no idea that there was something broken inside me that only alcohol could reach. Spiritus contra spiritum. The spirits of alcohol contradicted the broken spirit that I have inside and made me feel complete. And ladies and gentlemen, without alcohol, I did not feel complete. I didn't know that till I met you. And it's interesting. After I met you, and finally took what appears to be my last drink and submitted, committed, and surrendered myself to the AA way of life. I've stayed right here with you guys. You know, there's a line in how it works if you're new. If you ever wonder why people don't make it, maybe if you wonder why you're having a hard time making it, if you hear this at every AA meeting you go to, if they read how it works, I promise, it tells us why we don't recover. And sometimes it's not a pleasant thing to hear. It says those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. And I'm a part-time, part caregiver. You see, I'll give up parts of me, but I don't give up all of me. And it wasn't until I was willing, to the best of my human ability, to give myself up completely to AA, I couldn't stay sober. And I want you to know the weekend of that convention, to the best of my ability, I didn't know this at the time, but I gave myself up completely to this program. And I want you to know something. I've stayed completely given up to this program because I don't ever want to live in a dumpster again. But not only that, but you know, alcohol was starting to not provide that effect. And I started seeking it other ways. And boy, then I know damnation like I never knew it before, because nothing else provided that effect the way King Alcohol did. And I hurt a lot of people. And yes, isn't that interesting? That was 31 years ago, and a few 24 hours. I got back with my wife when I was new. We got back together again. She heard I was working. I remember Clancy said that, and I thought, I'll never get my wife back. Poof, I got a job, she came back. We were together 5 years. We were the AA couple, by God, her and Al-Anon, me and AA, and they put her on a pedestal. We don't pedestalize anybody. They put her on a pedestal, and here's why. She took him back after all he did to her. You hear me? And I thought, yeah. Ooh. We didn't realize we didn't like each other. I had a sponsee named Tom that I was letting live with us, and the big book says we should maybe let him stay on the couch for a few days, but not too long, as they might impose on the family for selfish reasons. And I thought, well, that's what Bill said, but he's dead. So I let Tom stay with us for 6 months. One Friday night, I came home from a AA function, and don't get ahead of me. I heard this noise emanating from my bedroom. I knew what it sounded like, but I wasn't in there. And I'm reaching for the doorknob, and my sponsor's voice goes off, "Don't go in there," as I open the door. And there they were on my bed, getting with the business of living. And as I watched, boy, David told me you guys were sick. I noticed that when he told me he wanted what I had, he was serious. And from the looks of things, he was willing to go to any lengths to get it. I appear to have affected that. We got divorced. That was 26 and a half years ago. You know, there's days I think about that and I still miss my sponsee. I moved to California 17 years ago, joined the Pacific group, chasing those people that saved my life. Been out here ever since, not a cop anymore. I became a cop, I mentioned that. It's impossible to be a cop when you've been arrested 9 times for domestic violence and you've been psychiatrically institutionalized 17 times. It's hard to become a cop unless you live in Iowa. There they consider it a good experience. I moved out here and I resigned myself to the fact that I didn't deserve to be with another good woman. I did that to me. Dated a lot, had a lot of fun dating. Thank you, John Paul. Not in tighty-whities, though. And I don't mean no offense by that. And dated a lot, had a lot of fun. I have a lot of rumors running around just because I dated a lot. If you date a lot, or if you're an activist in AA, you're going to have rumors about you. I hope you have plenty. I hope you get criticized and judged to the end of what you think you can take it, because that means you're doing something. And you know what? Even if you're doing something that ain't right, you will be brought to terms with that and grow from it. That isn't permission, that's observation. And here I am a few 24 hours ago. Last Thanksgiving, was it? I met Tina a couple years ago, and this was long after I resigned to the fact I was going to date a lot but not get married again. I met Tina unexpectedly. That's her story. If you want to hear from her, ask her, but we met interestingly. Tina's been, she's a good member of AA, been sober almost 25 years. We met, and I knew the night I met her, that was mine, my woman right there. I knew it. I knew it. I was dating another girl. Listen, there's a thing called principles here, and I was a very unprincipled man. And you guys infected me with principle. When I met Tina, we hadn't even talked. I just knew. I went home the next day and called my girlfriend up because I knew she was in love with me. And I knew by the way I was looking at Tina that I couldn't possibly love her that way. And I called her up and broke up with her, having no idea me and Tina was going to get together for sure, but I'd made my mind up. Isn't that something? I believe that the universe takes care of its own. And Tina and I got engaged on Thanksgiving, and we're getting married in September in Gretna Green, Scotland. My sponsor said, take her somewhere far enough that it goes past your biggest defect of character. We just got back from London. We was over there for a week. God, I think about it and I think all I had to do was pay the price. The painstaking effort of having a home group, being committed to principle, to the best of my ability, making mistakes all the way. It isn't the mistake that gets us drunk, ladies and gentlemen. It's covering them up. It's defending them. It's making them okay that gets me drunk. But owning up to my mistakes and trying to correct them and move forward is called the human condition. And I thank you for that simple thing. Because I used to have to hide my mistakes. I used to have to hide my lies. I was one big secret waiting for a Budweiser. It's time for me to wrap it up. If you're new, I hope that you stay with us. Get commitments. If you don't have a sponsor, I strongly encourage an objective voice in that hamster cage. Because I'm looking for cheese, baby. And my sponsor won't give me any. Sponsor is important. Going to meetings, having commitments, being of service, and being willing to give back for fun and for free what was offered me. And you know, it isn't, the big thing isn't that Tina's going to marry me. That's big, but it's not the thing. Here's the thing. She's taken me the way I am. I don't got to be anybody else. Isn't that amazing? Now, I hope she knows what she's getting into. But she's heard all the rumors. I give her that. Can I tell you that? Just, can I have 1 minute? Can I wrap it up? We were at a meeting here where some rumors fly about me, and most of them are true. And 3 women followed her into the bathroom to explain to her who I really am. What they don't understand is she's a biker, and that made her want to go out with me even more. So, thank you. Now I'm done. Keep coming back, newcomer.